Good afternoon. My lord, I usually do these in the morning, but today we're doing one in the afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Hurricane Watchman is here with your latest update on the tropics. Today we have quite a lot going on here in the North Atlantic here. It's a lot more echoey today because we got rid of quite a lot of cans, and I didn't make any sense. Cans wouldn't make it more echoey. Lots of cardboard was in here when we had the cans sitting in, and that's not in here anymore. So it's going to get a little bit more echoey because we're getting a lot of stuff out of here because we're going to do some arrangements in the studio today in the coming weeks. But so yeah, just don't be surprised if the sound is a little bit different. Anyway, this is what we got here. We got quite a few storms. I'm watching this system right here in the Caribbean. It's going to move right across the Caribbean into possibly the southern Gulf of Mexico. And though that area just got hit by Hurricane, my memory's like falling apart. That hurricane that made landfall there. And Grace, there we go. Hurricane Grace made landfall there in the Yucatan Peninsula, and then again in mainland Mexico a few days after that. So they could be getting hit again. Heavy rain and flooding, and if this becomes something we need to watch out for. Now, if the high pressure weakens, just sitting over here in this, or sitting right over here, if the high pressure weakens or moves away, this system right here, as you can see, could move and actually move farther to the north, and that could be really bad, honestly, because then it has a chance of making landfall in mainland United States, and the area where it has the biggest chance of making landfall would be Texas. And as you know, Harvey did some incredible catastrophic damage. Now, regardless of where this develops, the strength of it, the biggest threat is always going to be flooding. Okay, this is going to This is going to cause a lot of flooding, regardless of where it makes landfall, regardless of its intensity, regardless if it has even if it has 80 to 100 mile an hour winds, still going to cause flooding. Tropical waves still cause flooding. That's not going to change at all. These tropical systems have never changed at all whatsoever. When it comes down to flooding, flooding is always the biggest threat with these systems. So that's something I'm really honestly I'm watching, and I'm honestly a little bit worried about. But it's kind of hard to see exactly where all the storms are sometimes. But this will give you a better idea of the storms. Let me just update this. There we go. So again, there's that one in the Caribbean that I'm talking about right here. We have this one in the far eastern Atlantic, and this one, which is just going to go out to sea. The only place where this one's going to affect could potentially be the Azores, depending on how far east it goes. This one, it could potentially depends on how far north it goes. It could affect Bermuda if it goes as far. But if it makes a turn like this, it could also affect the Azores also. That's also a possibility. This system right here is the one I was just talking about. It's going to be coming down here. And then in this orange is where it has the possibility of it actually developing. Or that's where it has the possibility of it actually developing and moving into the Gulf. And it could be affecting Mexico. It would definitely be affecting Mexico because it will be approaching the it will be approaching the Yucatan Peninsula, which again was hardly hit by Hurricane Grace. And if this makes its way to Mexico, they will just very hardly hit by 125 mile per hour Hurricane Grace. It was incredibly catastrophic. Catastrophic in terms of flooding and rain and stuff like that. Very, very bad. And then obviously I didn't do a lot of video or a lot of streams about it, but I did want to just give a little quick update about tropical storm Henri making landfall up here in the northeast. They made landfall there in Rhode Island, just to the east of Connecticut, right here. Oh no, right there, right there. And it made landfall, and it's still in this area producing a lot of heavy rains. Like I said, it was going to stall in this area. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's out here. That was yesterday. It was here. It stalled here just a little bit and kind of moved in this area, but now it's out over the North Atlantic. My gosh, I don't know what's going on for you today. But yes, that's really what we're looking at and what we're going to be talking about today. Let me just do a refresh. As you can see, nothing going on in the Indian Ocean, the West Pacific, the Central Pacific, the South Pacific, the South Indian Ocean at all. Everything is all right. In those areas, there are no areas of investigation issued by the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. we go to track the tropics, we're going to be talking about those areas of investigation that I was talking about earlier in the North Atlantic. If that storm, let's just say that this storm does, that one in the Caribbean does make landfall. Let's see, I want to take a look and see the idea of where they're going to be showing a landfall. I want to say it was the GFS, but I could be completely wrong. There's a very good chance that it wasn't. Yeah, there it was. So we also got to watch about this system. If it does make landfall in Texas, now again, Hurricane Watch Team is working on models and working on saying which model is going to be the most accurate, and that is how we will make our predictions based on that model and based on, again, the environmental conditions in the atmosphere and how warm the water temperatures are, how deep the tropical cyclone heat potential is, if there's high pressure in the area, if there is wind shear, what the direction of the currents of the atmosphere are going, and we kind of use those, we based all that on with our predictions of how strong a tropical cyclone will be. I'm only 18, so they're not going to be, like incredibly amazing, all right? So don't be surprised if my predictions aren't 100% on point. But this is what the GFS is showing. I think they've been showing this landfall in this area for quite some time, and I'm a little bit worried about it now. It doesn't look very well organized, which is a good thing. However, regardless of the development of this tropical system, the biggest threat will definitely be rain, as you can see right here. Lots of heavy rain there in southern Texas right there. Very, very bad because South Texas is very prone to flooding. Whenever we have a thunderstorm or a rain shower down here in Houston, flood warnings, flash flood watches. There was even sometimes we get a cold front come through Houston, and next thing you know, it was actually East Houston, farther east. There was a flash flood emergency, which is only the National Weather Service only issues those if there is an incredible imminent threat to life at that very moment, where basically you gotta evacuate during you have to evacuate during a thunderstorm. Is basically what that means, because your life is in serious danger, and there's a moderate chance that if you aren't careful, there's a good chance that unfortunately you could die. So it's basically what a flash flood emergency means, and they usually issue these with hurricanes, definitely with Harvey with 60 inches of rain falling, but also times with thunderstorms. Severe thunderstorms can produce a lot of heavy rain, and that's also produces obviously a lot of flooding. It depends on the area you're at, and produce a lot of flooding. Low-lying areas near creeks or rivers or bayous can flood in a matter of just minutes, depending on the rate of rainfall. So that's something that I'm a little bit worried about. Going to be watching the watches and warnings and advisories if this system does approach Texas. But right now we are watching this system. It does have a possibility of affecting Texas if this does in fact play out like this. So let's continue to move on in time, and as you can see, it just kind of eventually falls apart, and then another system making landfall in Mexico. Now again, this is over 300 hours out, so this is so far out we can't just say, oh, there's going to be a Category 3 hurricane making landfall in northeastern Mexico. Warnings, like 300 hours out, so much could happen. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to make predictions on that. It doesn't exist yet. There's no need to worry about it because it's just a model prediction. I'm not going to talk about it because it doesn't exist yet. I only talk about things if they exist and I can actually make predictions on them. If they don't exist yet, then what the Hurricane Watch Team will do is we'll just monitor it, and once it begins to exist, if it does, if it is issued by the National Hurricane Center as an AOI, an area of investigation, we will start to talk about it and make predictions on it. So that's kind of how the Hurricane Watch Team rolls. Anyway, so that could be something we might need to watch in the future. So going to be closely monitoring that in the future, and could be something we need to watch out for in the coming days. So certainly something to track in the future. So we have that. I want to go to the European model just to have an idea of what the European model is saying with any of these systems. So that system up here does show it become a tropical depression, possibly even a tropical storm. Let me see if there's any comments, questions, or concerns. Alright, no comments, questions, or concerns. Alright, so there's that. We'll be closely monitoring these systems in the future because they certainly have a threat to land. Again, these are the remnants of Henri. I do apologize. We were doing a lot when it made landfall at my house. working, getting ready for college and stuff. But there it is, just the south of Nova Scotia there. This is what is left of tropical, or not even tropical depression, the remnants of Henri. It kind of came in, I want to say it came in through, here's Connecticut, here's Rhode Island, here's Massachusetts. I think it came in like this, and then it kind of like did something like this and went out. It just kind of like stalled a little bit, which produced a lot of heavy rain. And they were already having a lot of heavy rain, so unfortunately, they're still having to deal with this sort of heavy rain. I do want to look at, well, we got quite, so this is this system in the Caribbean. I kind of want to zoom in on this and sort of talk about what we're looking at in the Caribbean right now. So as you can see, there's a lot of heavy rain. There's a lot of convection going on in that area. So lots of convection right here. You can actually see some, I want to say that's outflow. You can kind of see, I would assume the LLCs right here. You can kind of see this outflow happening already. And as we see that, we're going to see more convection, and we're going to see this begin to develop, and this has a bigger, the farther west it goes, the bigger possibility this has of actually developing into a tropical cyclone, a tropical depression, a PTC, tropical depression, a tropical storm, a hurricane. Right now, we don't really know yet. The water temperatures are warm, but we're going to have to watch this, we're going to have to monitor this system very closely and carefully, and we will definitely be giving you the latest updates on this system. And all the other systems. But this system right here is the one that hurricane watching is mainly worried about, because it will be affecting not only Mexico, but possibly could be affecting the mainland United States. So as this system develops, we will monitor this and watch this. So that's, we're watching this. Could be something to watch out for. And again, regardless of development, heavy rain and flooding will be the biggest threat from the system. I can't emphasize that enough. That is, I could talk about that all day, every day, all the time. It's one of the things that kills, it's the biggest killer it's the thing that causes the most death, unfortunately, is how deadly rain can be. You have flash floods. There can be a flash flood in just a matter of minutes. A levee breaks. Floodwaters could flow in from the sea, like we saw with Katrina in 2005. August of 2005. So that was, we have that. We have to deal about tornadoes is also a problem in the outer bands with Hurricane Michael of 2018. There were a lot of tornadoes near Tampa Bay, Florida. In that area had some tornadoes because of Hurricane Michael. Hurricane Harvey spawned a few waterspouts and tornadoes near Galveston in August of 2017. Pretty much any tropical cyclone that's strong and has a tropical depression, even a tropical storm, can still produce some tornadoes. Tropical storm Claudette, I believe, produced a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust there in Mobile, Alabama. So even if it's a weak system, it can produce a lot of wind and a lot of heavy rain. So that's certainly something we're going to be dealing and closely monitoring in the future. Just want to kind of give really quick, very close updates on this. We will be doing a rather closer update on this system because we'll be doing, when I mean closer, I mean more accurate. We'll be doing more accurate updates. And what I mean by accurate, I mean we're getting more precise. We'll be getting down to more of the precision and the landfall threats of this system. So like, there's gonna be swells from this. So Puerto Rico could see some rip currents all the way from Puerto Rico all the way through Cuba, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Nicaragua, Honduras. And depending on where it makes landfall, if it makes landfall in Mexico, there was a red flag. There were red flags up in Galveston because of the rip currents were being produced from Hurricane Grace as a Category 3 when it made landfall with winds of 125 miles an hour there in Mexico. So we have this tropical depression out here. We got tropical waves in the East Pacific. There's just weather happening all the time. So there's that. And then, so flooding going to be the biggest threat, and we're going to be closely monitoring that here in the future. So, I kind of want to keep this simple, keep this short, and that's pretty much going to be it. There's still some Saharan air layer, still some dry air, but as you can see in the Gulf of Mexico, there's very little to almost no dry air. So I'm probably going to cut this off right here. So yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, and I'll talk to you guys later today at 7 p.m. So that's it. I want to keep this short and simple. We will get even more precise about these systems here in the future. But again, watching that system in the Caribbean very, very closely and carefully as we are approaching September, which is often known as one of the most active months for hurricanes. So that's it for today, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. I'll talk to you guys later this evening. Peace out.